Welcome back, guys. Today could be a very, very short day. 2 quick 2-0s to go into the 3-minute breaks today. Samsung Galaxy Con coming out with 2 amazingly strong Terran plays today. Reality starting it off in that TDZ against Curious, and then Journey there against MMA, really shutting them out. Great play out of both of those players.
Super solid, very, very careful, very patient. No YOLO, okay? No. Yeah. You know those Doom drops are oftentimes with TBT are basically YOLO drops. Like the player's like, well, we'll see. Here we go.
He was just so meticulous with everything he did in that game. Everything was very calculated. I'm so impressed. I can't stop talking about this guy. And unfortunately, we're going to have to stop talking about him, Wolf. We're going to go into the next game. It's going to be Deer versus DongRaeGu. Deer gets 6 votes. And I guess it kind of makes sense. DongRaeGu looked decent against Creator, but he was making some mistakes and almost lost the game. Played some decent macro, but Deer's looking better and better. And I think he's the favorite going into this one.
I think so, too. DRG just has not looked good since, like, 2013.
That's one way to put it, Wolf.
I mean, let's be real. He came out a few times last season, saved his team. You can almost say the same thing about Deer. This guy had his run in either late 2013 or early 2014. I can't remember which GSL he had, but he was a GSL champion, was doing insanely well, was considered at the time to be the best Protoss in the world. The thing about this guy was he wasn't just the one-hit wonder like Jakchi. Like, everyone respected him as this guy is the best Protoss in the world. Commentators, players, everyone's saying, no one can touch him.
Now people touch him all the time, Wolf. Excuse me.
He's going to get murdered.
Struggled to get that one out. But yeah, he's not as untouchable as he used to be. Definitely has fallen a bit, but slowly getting up there. DongRaeGu, one of these players on SBENU that insists on using this Candy song that we have to hear every single day. Yeah. It was good the first 50 times we heard it. I still enjoy it, but it's not what it used to be for me. I don't know about you, Wolf.
I like that he reps his sponsor here in that is playing that song, but DRG was the ace back in the day. Now 1-3 in ace matches. He's being fielded recently, and I feel like part of this is SBENU saying, this guy is good. Just remember, we got this guy on our team. Remember, he's really, really good. He's not on Invasion anymore. He's back on a Pro League team. He wanted to play in Pro League. He's got the skills. He's got the talent. He's been here before. Was one of the best Zergs back in 2013.
Let's see how this match is going to go between Deer and DongRaeGu. The map is Expedition Lost. Let's do it. Here in the top right in the blue for the Samsung Pro Gaming team, it is Deer.
And to the bottom left in pink, SBENU. It's Mr. Candy, DRG.
The Candyman himself. Did you ever play Candyland when you were a kid?
Yes.
That game was so fun.
That game was fun, but that rainbow path that you could take was so broken.
Oh, yeah.
So OP.
None of those board games were ever well balanced. Do you guys like to whine and complain about balance in StarCraft? This game is so much more balanced in like chutes and ladders and stuff.
Candyland is so BS, man. You ever get caught in like the gumdrop?
God.
The gumdrop something. There was like the chocolate woods.
Please don't bring back those bad memories.
my cousins and I used to play, and we would ban the rainbow path because it's just so BS.
You guys were ahead of your time, actually.
We banned it. We were like, no, that's not fair.
You guys were self-balancing the game. In fact, the way we used to play was like, no, it's part of the game. You got to do it. You can't ban anything. That's the way they made the game. You just got to do it. You can't change anything. But I actually like your guys' style better.
Yeah, well, we can play sometime if you ever want to test.
We could bring it back.
Candyland skills. I actually think that most kinds of candy are pretty gross.
You don't like sweet stuff. You don't like candy. You don't like ice cream. You don't even like fruit.
No.
I'm pretty salty. Where is this drone going?
I don't know. He might be trying to go at exact timing to block the Nexus. It looks like that's what he wants to do.
He may just proxy hatch.
Yep, proxy hatch indeed. There it is. Oh, and unscouted.
Deer's not going to go for this. Or he's not going to see it, rather, because he does have that gateway up on the top of his ramp. And
a very weird build out of Deer in general.
Yeah.
This must be something he stylistically likes to do recently that DRG has studied, because almost everybody is doing Nexus first into Forge right now, or Nexus first into Gate, or even Gate Nexus Core, which we are going to see here, but not on this map, because it's in some ways riskier, I feel. Like, and you usually want to threaten the cannon rush on this map. Most Processes are, so.
I'm going to be interested to see how Deer deals with this one compared to how Yonhwa dealt with it. It's a bit different, the builds, of course. He does get his gateway out much, much faster than Yonhwa ever did, so he's not going to overcommit with like a million probes on the hatchery just yet. Just going to chrono boost out a bunch of zealots to deal with it instead. Deer does get both of his gases pretty quickly, but he only uses 2 probes on each. So just going to get 4 mining there instead of 3.
Yeah. Zealot gets committed to that hatch. The gold base follow-up here is underway. Probably going to see the Evo cancel. Actually, he might just let this finish. Get that creep going. Oh, decides to cancel. Could always come back.
Yeah, he's actually going to save that drone and use it to mine at the gold, I assume.
Yep.
Not bad timing, in fact. And Deer hasn't scouted this at all, really. He did at least scout the proxy hatchery coming his way, but that was about it. Never really sent out a probe. Just sent it back to mine in his own base. He's going to set up or I thought he was going to set up a wall there on the top of his natural, but he's actually going to send out those 2 zealots, much in the way that Trap did to Departure.
Yeah, and let's see what. Well, okay, he sends him back, but he doesn't know what's coming his way, so that's a fair response. Probe actually doesn't check the gold base, which is that's like actually crazy.
That is so unlucky too, because the creep isn't fully spread. Just based on the timing of that scout, if he had sent it maybe 30 seconds later, he would have seen the creep at least. But I think you can reasonably assume, just based on the timing.
Yeah, he should, but that's he's checking this base because he knows he can't actually get to the other one in time before that probe dies. Yeah. But
it's smart. He immediately drops down a Stargate too. He wants to punish this gold base.
It's actually just kind of insane to me that he didn't spend like the 1 extra second checking that. It is not really going to matter because, like you said, he knows, and he's going to set that Stargate up. But let's see how DRG responds. We see most Zergs nowadays adding a Spore Caller to space because if you don't, the 2 Oracles can come in and actually kill your Queen and kill a ton of drones. We saw this with Classic versus BL on the SSL. That probe has actually stayed alive for an insane amount of time. Sees the creep on his way out. He's going to die in just a second. There he goes.
Goodbye, probe. You were loved. Yeah. Sees the creep at least. He knows which gold base it's at. And I'm very curious to see how Deer's going to deal with this. It looks like no Forge for now. At least I didn't see one. But he is getting sentries, and he is, of course, going for those Oracles out here with that Stargate.
No Forge. Sends the Oracle straight away. Not going to pool the 2 of them. Try to burst down the Queen.
I'm pretty worried here for DongRaeGu. He hasn't put down a Spore Caller. There's 1 Queen at the gold base. That Oracle could just slip on by. It just comes out right now. And he can get so much damage done at the gold.
Yep. Just going to ignore the Queen and just kill every last drone.
Spore's late. It is 1 Queen. It's not enough to defend this.
All right, here we go. Let's see what he gets. Targeting already. 1, 2, 3. Should be able to get at least 4. Might even go up to like 8 here with 1 Queen only.
Yeah. It wasn't even the best Oracle micro, but it was enough to get 7 drones. And there you go. Just too late on the spores. You see a bit of frustration on DongRaeGu's face with that. And now the second Oracle's going to come in. You were talking about that game Classic versus Biel. Well, we're already seeing the beginnings of those games once again here. Yep. Spore is down.
Just going to tank the damage and do what he can. 2 kills only, but 9 drones in total are dead, Valdez. And the follow-up could just be another one of these gateway pushes. I'm starting to feel like that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, he's already adding 4 more gates here. It's just going to be 2 Oracles are out on the map. You add a ton of gates. There's going to be no +1, so it's going to hit much faster. But I love the position that Deer is compared to the other game. DongRaeGu's economy is not quite as good as Rogue's one was in the Bass game. And this attack is going to hit very, very fast here.
Yonhwa just was so slow, so late. It was so obvious what he was doing that Rogue had so much time to repair. This is a totally different game because also Rogue put a lot of pressure on with those hatcheries.
Yeah.
This is like already knocking on the door, and they're not selling Girl Scout cookies, Valdez.
Even going to go with the protection here. Going to clean up the creep at first and try to go for a another warp in here before he goes for the big attack. A bunch of roaches are out here, but really, really nice force field's going to cut off 4 of them already.
He's got 2 time warps available whenever he wants to use them.
Has to be careful about the Mothership Core taking a lot of damage from the Queen, though.
Way too much damage, actually. He's got to be careful. There goes the time warp. More force fields going down here. Roach is getting zoned out. The Oracle's doing some extra damage. Mothership Core now on the chase. This Boros army did get whittled down quite a bit, though. And another round of reinforcing roaches is coming through, as well as 16 more speedlings. He's so stalker heavy, though. He's got the right ratio of units. Oh, no, the Spore! Loses that Mothership Core. That's pretty huge.
Messing up his multitasking a little bit there. He has some more force fields to come in here. It looks like just 2, but a lot of Protoss units remain. Still, DongRaeGu pumping out only units. He's got that gold-based economy. It looks like Deer's going to finally poke at that, but he needs another warp in here. He has to be very careful on that creep.
His reinforcing pylon is not very close by. Way too many roaches here. The Oracle's very low on energy and very low on health. One gets popped off already. The second one looks like it might fall here as well. I think it will. And the roaches here going to help push this back. He needs another wave of stalkers. 2 more on the way. And here comes some zealots. Where are those lings? They need to get up here.
Well, there's only 1 ling now. He's trying to desperately make more, but when the Protoss is in a position to slowly pick up that drones, and you can't make any more drones for your base, you're going to lose a lot of that economy, especially on that gold base. And we're going to see slowly DongRaeGu is going to lose that reinforcing power. He is about to have speed that's going to help out a lot, especially because there's barely any energy on those sentries left over. There's like 1 or 2, maybe, force fields.
This could not be more all-in for Deer. In fact, I'd like to see him even add a more forward pylon if he can, because this is the most important problem that he's dealing with right now, is just not able to reinforce as quickly as he'd like to. All DRG needs to do is crush this army once, and he'll be able to win the game. Good force fields here again, isolating some of those roaches. But he needs to be good with his zealots, because they're losing a lot of hit points here.
Yeah, decent control, but a lot of the zealots are in the back here. A really nice force field there towards the south, but still a pretty decent concave here for DRG. A pretty even fight right now, actually.
Yeah. Roaches, 11 more of them on the way. Zealots always at the back. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's been one of the big issues here. Does have them now at the front, tanking that damage. Stalkers at the back with mostly all of their hit points. In fact, almost every single one of these Stalkers is at full health right now. More and more reinforcements, and those Zealots are at the front. DRG's reinforcing power waning, as you were saying.
Yeah, he's slowly losing drone by drone at that gold base. He's only got about 3 or 4 mining right now. The warp-ins continue. They're never going to stop. You can sit on this for 2 base for so long as a Protoss.
Yep, this is not Legacy of the Void. Those bases are going to last quite a bit longer. Some transfuses going down here to try to help those roaches survive. But roaches do get outranged by stalkers. They're actually now going to chase off creep right into more reinforcing stalkers. Not sure about this choice.
You know, he's got that speed. He's trading decently, but at the same time,
this is a huge mistake.
I say that, those queens are going to be so slow off the creep, and they were so important for defending this push.
Oh man, that was a huge mistake by DRG. Lost so many roaches there. Again, almost all of these stalkers at full health. And if this ever becomes a 2-base versus 2-base situation here, it's going to be terrible for DRG. Zealots stuck in the back here again, but they are slower. Now at the front to tank some damage. 2 stalkers very low, 1 goes down. And that Zealot doing massive amount of tanking here. He needs to pull back off creep again. DRG continues to chase, but here comes some more reinforcements. This is actually such a close fight here. The Stalkers are running out of room to escape from.
Yeah, and he's trying to warp in at the same time. Some drones are actually forced off the tank a bit. It looks like DRG's getting a much better trade this time.
He's got Speedlings to support, and that's the key. Also, Deer failed with his multitasking a little bit, and that should finally be enough to hold this off. A razor-thin edge of a game that DRG just skated off of to victory here. GG. Whoa!
Sick game, man. That fight lasted for about 3 or 4 minutes. DRG just barely held it off, as you were saying, and he keeps SBENU's hopes alive. Just barely. Just very barely. And we're going to go to another TVT after this. We finally get to see the 4th match of the day today.
Yeah. Wow. DRG. Such a narrow hold there. The reinforcing power of the Protoss is always going to be a bit slower, but if you continue to micro consistently and keep picking off those drones, the Zerg starts to get into a bit of trouble, especially when he walks off creep with all those units. That was a scary moment. I thought that might have actually lost him the game.
He lost a lot in there, but Deer made a bit of a mistake as well. He got a little bit too overconfident. He was trying to snipe queens and trying to focus fire a little bit too much on the creep there. It was a great concave towards the end for DRG, and he just lost too much. DRG was on top of the Stalkers at that point, so even when it got off the creep with the road speed, he was able to keep up with them and continue doing that damage. So
I feel
very,
like-
very nice hold by DRG.
Do you feel like if the fourth pylon was even like slightly closer, there would have just been no way? Like it was just if it was just even slightly closer, it would have been able to reinforce too quickly. Because that was always the issue. He couldn't get his reinforcements there fast enough to turn the tide of those battles. So eventually,